Okay, joining me now live in studio is Representative Andrea Salinas. Congresswoman, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so the House is on recess this week, which is why you're in town. So let's start with the clash over DHS funding. The bill passed in your chamber late last week. That was before the shooting of Alex Pretti in Minneapolis. Only 7 Democrats voted for it. You voted against it. So tell us why.
Well, I think it's pretty clear, and I'm hearing from my constituents, I'm hearing from people all over Oregon. This is Trump's police state right now, and he needs to own it. And I am doing everything in my power right now to make sure that this does not continue. People are getting shot in American cities and killed because of the actions of ICE. We are losing our First Amendment rights to protest and to be in the streets, to be able to say to our government, this is not something we want. Journalists, reporters are getting targeted by this administration for reporting on what's actually happening and putting the truth out there. This is not just illegal, it's unconstitutional, it's un-American. And we have to stop this right now. This is out of control. And so I wasn't going to put another dollar towards ICE, and the Department of Homeland Security funds ICE, unless we saw some real revisions. And the Senate has the opportunity to do that right now.
So if the Senate makes any changes, though, to the DHS funding bill and it passes it, the House would then have to vote. So what changes would have to be made to gain your support?
So I've been working with folks in the Congressional Hispanic Caucus and within my caucus, and I think similar to what you heard from Senators Merkley and Wyden, we would have to see some significant changes. Making sure that ICE wear body cam and actually turn them on, making sure that they stop these warrantless arrests and running roughshod over people's constitutional rights. American citizens deserve due process. That is what we are granted in the Constitution. And right now we're not seeing that. And so that's a scary thing to people in my community. And like I said, all over Oregon. So we need real reforms, but it also takes Congress to hold this administration accountable. And I am really worried that even if we put things in statute, the administration will just flout whatever we put in there and continue with its reign of terror. So this is going to be a very delicate subject matter.
How do you get around that, right? How do you make changes that would stand up in court and have clout?
Well, I think some of them are, getting to the fact that we would have evidence, right? And then we would be able to take it to court. I'm actually working on a bill with Senator Merkley right now that essentially would change the law so that American citizens would be able to sue the federal government when their rights are trampled upon because of ICE. So it's things like that that we would then give permission for citizens to go to the courts. And if we require the body cams, if we actually require some other not wearing masks, we would actually have some evidence and some due process.
Let's talk a little bit more about the deadly shooting of Alex Pretti in Minneapolis. How would you characterize what so many of us saw on video compared to how the Trump administration described it?
I have said numerous times that this was murder. And I've said this, I went to a vigil in Newburgh the other night on Sunday evening, and everybody there, it was great to be in community, but everybody there, as you mentioned, saw with their own eyes different angles from different video recordings. And yet the Trump administration is trying to gaslight us right now and trying to tell us that we didn't see with our own eyes what we actually saw captured on video. And so, yes, we may not have seen what was leading up to that moment. We may not have heard everything that was going on there, but we saw it with our own eyes. And we know that this guy had a phone in his hand. He did not brandish a weapon. And so it was murder.
You've supported an effort to impeach DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Tell us why.
Because this Department of Homeland Security and ICE is out of control. And because of their tactics, because of everything that they are doing, they are causing so much anxiety and almost 1,200 people in Oregon alone have been detained, some of whom we don't know where they are. They get shipped to different places. They get sent to Tacoma. They get sent to Texas. They get sent to Illinois and New York. And sometimes we can't keep track of where they are. Their family members can't keep track of where they are. Their attorneys don't know where they are. People have rights in this country. Citizens are being detained. It's lawlessness right now. Kristi Noem is the tip of the spear. So is Stephen Miller, but we can't impeach Stephen Miller. We can impeach Kristi Noem, and she needs to bear some responsibility.
What's next in that impeachment process? I mean, does it even stand a chance, or is it simply symbolic?
Well, if it had happened before this past weekend, I would have said it is likely more symbolic. But we are starting to see some of our Republican colleagues on the Senate side as well as the House side try to figure out who is ultimately responsible here. And I would say it is President Trump, Stephen Miller, and Kristi Noem. And I think they're going to be looking for a scapegoat, and I think Kristi Noem is likely that scapegoat.
So let's talk back here at home. What are you hearing when it comes to immigration enforcement in Oregon, and what, if anything, can you do about it in D.C.?
Well, as I mentioned, we have almost 1,200 people who had been living here in Oregon who have now been detained, some of whom we don't know where they are, and it's scary. In my district, the city of Woodburn, about 95% of the businesses in the downtown core are Latino. So this has actually put a huge damper on economic activity and how we do commerce and how people go to the store, how kids get to school. And it's not just for our Latino communities, it's for everybody. It's for the other kids who go to school and don't see their friend one day. The anxiety that causes, the panic attacks that kids are having now, the nightmares that we're hearing about, it really has an impact on who we are as a nation. And it's not just my district, it's not just Oregon, it is across this nation that we're hearing about neighbors, feeling for other neighbors and trying to figure out, how do we help? How do we become observers? How can we watch to protect each other? We should not have to be the ones protecting our neighbors, our friends, our family members. Our government should do that too, and right now they are terrorizing us.
Okay, Congresswoman Andrea Salinas, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, now it's your turn to weigh in. What do you think about the possibility of a partial government shutdown? Should Republican leadership allow for DHS funding to be voted on separately? Why or why not? Let us know. Email the story at kgw.com or call and leave us a voicemail, 503-226-5090.